Can you explain how the nervous system plays a role in sleep and how we can regulate it before bedtime? So that's maybe kind of along the same lines of what I was just
Yeah,
saying, but
yeah. So, so the nervous system is perhaps the most important thing to really pay attention to when we are trying to optimize our sleep, and it's obviously something that I'm sure you've discussed on your podcast before, because it's something very kind of relevant to people who have experienced trauma in their lives. And we have kind of two main branches to our nervous system. We have the fight or flight branch, which is known as the sympathetic nervous system. It's a ridiculous name for it because there's nothing really sympathetic about it at all.
yeah.
But that's our kind of fight or flight activated danger sensing branch of our nervous system. We then have the other opposite half, the complementary half, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, which is sometimes known as the rest and digest branch of the
Mhm.
nervous system. And unfortunately, people who have been through trauma have a hyper vigilant sympathetic nervous system. That fight or flight reaction
Yes.
is always there or thereabouts. It's always on edge. It's always looking for danger and looking for threats. And unfortunately, that is what inhibits sleep. So
Mm.
it's in order for us to be able to fall asleep and to stay asleep, we need to really dial back the activity of the sympathetic nervous system. We really need to dampen down that fight or flight response. And we need to nurture and ramp up the parasympathetic, the rest and digest response. So sometimes this can be easier said than done, but there are a number of strategies that people can employ in order to try and improve that. One of them, I think, is having a really good and consistent nighttime routine.
Mhm.
We all, anyone who's a parent knows about the importance of a bedtime routine for children that helps them to kind of wind down and to kind of get ready for sleep. And it's just as important for adults, really,
Mhm.
and particularly so in somebody who has experienced trauma or is going through a stressful time currently, because they will have an overactive, a hyper vigilant, and a hyper acute fight or flight response.
Yep.
And part of that is because of threat, because our fight or flight response is designed to protect us from threats. And the way that we can kind of dial that down and dampen that down a little bit is through really nurturing the opposite of threat, which is familiarity. If we if we
Mm.
teach our brains that every night before we go to bed, we do these three, four, five things in usually in this order, whatever that might be. It might be dimming the lights an hour before it's bedtime. It might be then having a nice long soak in the bath. It might be doing some reading before you go to bed. But having anything that your brain can then start to recognize as familiar.
Mhm.
This is, I do this every night and I do this before I go to bed. This will help to reduce that kind of threat detection
Mhm.
alertness that we have, and will help to nurture that parasympathetic response. So having a routine is really really important. There are then a whole host of techniques that people can employ that will help to reduce that sympathetic response, reduce the fight or flight response, and to promote the parasympathetic response. Things like breath work,
Yeah.
things like um, meditation, mindfulness. There's a body
Mhm.
scan technique along those lines. Progressive muscle relaxation. There's a whole host of different kind of techniques out there that can be really helpful. Um, a lot of them work through breathing, through
Mhm.
by helping you to manipulate your breath in order to reduce your um, parasympathetic response. Sorry, to reduce your sympathetic response and to calm things down. So those would be the kind of two key things that I think will be helpful for somebody to regulate their nervous system to help them sleep.
Oh, those are great starts. Just the routine makes sense because you're telling your brain you're getting ready every night. Now we're winding down and we're getting ready to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's what I do. I absolutely have a routine, and there's certain things that I don't do before bed. I don't get on my phone. I don't get on my tablet. I don't,
Yeah.
there's things that I just don't do because I know that I need to tell myself it's time to wind
Yeah.
down.